Well, the first home game of the season is always a big occasion. How pleased are you to mark it with 3 points and that performance?
Yeah, very glad. I think we played a fantastic game. The team gave everything. You could see that from the first minute today. We played a very good game in possession and without the ball as well. So really pleased and of course happy for this guy.
Yeah, the manager wanted a confident start, and Lewis, it's fair to say you delivered. Tell us about the goal.
¿Qué dice? Que le cuentes un poco del gol.
Bueno, nada, fue muy bonita jugada. Siempre trato de ayudar al equipo de la mejor manera, haciendo, digamos que anotaciones. Para nosotros los números son súper importantes porque somos los delanteros y vivimos de eso, ¿no? Entonces, muy contento, feliz por el equipo. El equipo hizo un gran trabajo, que es lo más importante. Y bueno, nada, ahora toca descansar para lo que se viene.
Alexis, I might need your help here.
Well, he's very happy. He knows that as a striker, as a winger, he needs to score and assist, and that's very important. So he's happy that today was the first one in a very nice counter-attack. It's something that we knew that we had to do. So he's very glad.
A really controlled performance on the whole. Just how much are you looking forward to the season ahead with Arne Slot now in charge?
Yeah, we know that there is still room for improvement. I think we are in a transition because sometimes we should be patient, but instead we are quite direct, let's say. But we are in that transition. I think everyone at the team is happy and working very hard to get into Arne's idea.
Yeah, well, 2 wins under your belt. It's a great platform, isn't it, for a big game next?
Yeah, really important. We know that against Man United is a derby. It's a really important game for the club and for us. So yeah, we will prepare. We'll prepare during the week, and we will do our best to win that game.
Well done to the both of you. Congratulations. Lewis, you are the player of the match. Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hermanito. Vamos arriba. Thank you so much.
Nice camaraderie, nice interview. Luis Díaz, your man of the match as well?
Yeah, you couldn't argue with that. He played well, broke the deadlock, big moment in the game, scoring the first goal. Yeah, I wouldn't argue with that. There's a couple of good performances. As I say, Liverpool weren't at their very, very best today, but he was one of the shining lights.
Yeah, Liverpool go into this season as arguably one of the biggest unknown quantities, right? Having changed their manager after 9 years, there's no fresh blood there, no new signings as of yet. But the early signs are very encouraging, Glenn.
They are encouraging. There's only 2 games against, be it Ipswich, a newly promoted team, and Brentford, one that you'd expect them to beat at Anfield. I think for Liverpool at this moment in time, they've got some very, very good players. They've got a good manager. I think the pressure's off. If Klopp was still manager, I think the fans there and everyone in football would be expecting maybe them to push City and Arsenal and win the league again. That's where I think the attitude would be. New managers come in, and I think that's eased off a little bit. So that's what I mean when I think the pressure's off them. The expectations are always going to be there for Liverpool Football Club, but I think within the camp, within the fans, let's get a solid, consolidate for a year. Let the manager get in the top 4. Let's go again that way. But I think under Klopp, it would have been more pressurised.
Yeah.
So I think they can actually, take their time. McAllister said there, we have to be patient. We have to be patient. It's a new manager. There's new things that they're working at.
Yeah, that's a good point, because we know where City and Arsenal are at after last season. There is no margin for error. And yes, these are winnable fixtures on paper. They have to see them through.
Yeah,
the pressure's there from the off, really.
It is. I mean, you're going to have to get right into the 90s, aren't you, in terms of points at the end of the season. There's very, very little margin for error. You simply can't slip up. And I don't care whether it's, some people say, oh, yeah, you can lose a couple at the start of the season. I don't think you can anymore. I think it's so hard to catch up. You've almost got to be faultless for the remaining 30-odd games of the season. You look at the run-ins of the top teams in recent years, they simply do not make a mistake. So with that in mind, you can't give anybody a lead. And it doesn't matter whether you're playing a newly promoted team, a lesser team, or whatever in the league. Every team can give you a scare. Every team can beat you, unless you're right on it. And Liverpool have started the season well, deserve to pick up both wins. But Arsenal and Manchester City have started equally as well, and they both look absolutely at the top of their game as well. So this could be the most competitive at the top of the league. There, it could be the hardest league to win for a long, long time.
So with your manager's hat on, Glenn, the biggest positive for Liverpool so far?
Well, the 6 points, obviously, but I think he's happy with what he's seeing. They've slightly changed the way they play, and I think as a manager, you look for clarity, you look for patterns. And if there's negative patterns, you've got to put them right. But I think there's a lot of positive things there. He's got a lot of players off the mark who've scored goals at the moment that he wanted to. And I got a feeling he's thinking there's still a lot more to come from this team. Trent came off and he wasn't happy.
Yeah.
But you see him go back and have a chat with him on the bench there during the game, went to the back row, had a real chat, explained why he brought him off probably, whatever it would be. Trent didn't look that much happier after the conversation, but that's his man management. He's obviously saying to him possibly, look, you came off because you were playing well and you hit some wonderful passes, but this and this. You're seeing Trent playing a slightly different, a little bit wider, back to where he normally plays. He went in
Orthodox right back?
Yeah, he went in a little. At times, he's given the licence to go in and play central, but when the ball's higher up the pitch, and I think that suits Trent. Some of his passing today was exquisite.
Which we know all about. Mind you want your players to be disappointed when they've been substituted, don't you?
Yes, you do.
Mo Salah's been like that, in most of his time at Liverpool.
You do. It's that fine line, isn't it? It's that fine line. I think if you're a bundle of joy coming off and sitting on the bench laughing and joking, then I'd look at you and think, is there something wrong with you? That's not, you should be every single minute you want to play, making a difference, scoring goals, creating goals, all those things. That's what you train. That's what you're born for, to play at on this stage. So I get it. It's just when it goes over the top. And as I say, I don't mind it from a player's point of view, but since you retire, you sort of look at it from a manager's point of view as well, and you think, we're winning soon. I don't need, when everything's good, you kept a clean sheet, you've scored a couple of goals, you don't want problems. And I'm not suggesting for a minute there are going to be problems. He just looks a little bit disappointed, which is good. I'm sure you can fix those when you're winning, Glenn.
I think disappointment, you want disappointment. You don't want any player coming off being content about being dragged off. But it's when that goes into annoyance and then it upsets the energy of the camp. That is what you don't want, and you don't allow. If you're a manager, you want them to be disappointed, of course, because what you want to do is you say, I brought you off because of X, Y, Z. Let's go next week again, or the next time you play. Let's work in training at what you've got to improve on, blah, blah, blah. And that's what there should be reasons why he's come. I think he's come off because he might have been protecting him, to be honest. He wants to see young Bradley as well. He's a new manager. He wants to see everything, because if he loses Trent to an injury, he's got to know that Bradley's good enough, and he won't know that if he's sitting next to him on the bench week in and week out.
Yeah.
So 20 minutes here and there, now he thinks he's got the right temperament.
Okay, I'll stir the pot a little bit. Trent Alexander-Arnold, there's a few big players, Manish, coming in. They're in their last season of their contract. If you're the manager and you've got really important players, normally you've got them under contract 4 or 5 years, you can do what you're going to play them anyway, but then you can sort of manipulate it as you want. When somebody's only got 9-10 months left of their contract and they're a little bit disappointed, do you almost bow down to thinking, I can't disappoint him anymore? He's not going to sign here. He's going to, or that might become a little bit trickier.
I think that's in the week. I think that's away from match day. Match day, you are on 3 points. Whatever your decisions are as a manager, you've got to get your 3 points. And if it means leaving Trent on, if that was 1-1 or 1-0, you'd probably find that Trent would have stayed on. Just in case they equalise, what do we want? We want a creator. We want somebody who can hit a cross and hit a pass that can. So 2-0, he felt there was a bit of a cushion. And I think he read the game and said, no, I'm going to bring him off. It might just be to rest him, who knows? He was away with England, had a long sort of season. So there's a multitude of things. But I don't think that comes in Michael, in between, in the training ground, sit down with him, chat to him. That's how I think he'll work out the contract scenario.
It's a good point, because Salah and Virgil are two others who are into their final year. And I suppose as a manager, you can't afford to think about things like that. You're just trying to get through the 90 minutes, right?
And he brought Mo Salah off as well.
He did, yeah.
And he tends to have done that so far in his 2 games. Jurgen Klopp didn't make loads of substitutions nor does Pep Guardiola. It's quite ironic, because they were the 2 managers that were pushing for all the extra substitutes. But they hardly ever bring players off. But this manager so far has really rotated his attacking players in the main, leaves his back four on, although the two fullbacks came off in the first game. But the other point to make as well is Conor Bradley is an unbelievable young player.
Yeah.
And you can't just keep leaving him on the bench when he's so promising.
But let's not forget as well, the players are trying to learn what Arne Slot is all about and vice versa. So, there might be the odd occasion now. Slot might want to nip it in the bud. It might not be anything at the end of the day, but they're just trying to find a way of moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely.
Together.
Listen, there's no problems. I'm not suggesting for a minute there's any problems at Liverpool. It is just an interesting one because I suspect we'll be sat here a bit later on in the season and the contract situation of the three players is going to start coming to light a little bit more.
After Christmas.
After Christmas, definitely. And this is the time now for the manager to really impress these lads. If they're wobbling a little bit, thinking, Liverpool aren't winning the league for a few years now, should I be thinking of my future? Real Madrid are going to need a new right back soon.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, he might be looking at that. Virgil van Dijk's coming to the best years of his career. And these players are going to be thinking, I'm right at the top of my game. I want to be at the best team, winning all of it, and hopefully that is still at Liverpool. But the next few months, as Glenn says, are going to.
I think it's got to be before the new year because of they can sign a pre-contract, can't they?
Yeah.
In January. So at the end of the day, they've got to sort it out by November, October, and get a steer on where it's going for the long term.
Yeah, but talking of Trent going forward, you think he's now reverting back to a more orthodox right back now? As opposed to inverting midfield?
Yeah, there were a couple of occasions today when he did pop up in central. Actually, he was playing left wing for a couple of minutes as well in the second half. At Ipswich, he looked like much more of an orthodox midfielder. And of course...
fullback, yeah.
Sorry, fullback. I think when Canate, when he plays, he almost comes to a right-back area as well. And him, Virgil van Dijk and Robertson can almost cover it as a back three, and that's when he goes in. But I think at the moment, in the first couple of games, he's going into midfield a little bit less.
Yeah. I also think when Enzo's playing, when a holding player's playing, then you might need Trent going in there. But at the moment, he's playing with footballers in there. He can stay a bit wider.
All right, let's talk to one of his defensive teammates, shall we? Delighted to say we can speak pitchside at Anfield with Liverpool captain Virgil van Dijk. Virgil, well done. 2 wins out of 2. 2 clean sheets from the defender's perspective. You must be delighted with Liverpool's start under the new manager.
Yeah, obviously it's a good start. The start that we all wanted. So yeah, build on today, and be ready for a big one next week.
Just tell us how does the Liverpool approach differ under Arne Slot compared to Jurgen Klopp?
Well, I won't say I'm annoyed with all this question about comparing because there's no point to do so. Obviously, there's a new manager with different ideas, and obviously, I think if you all watch the game, you see different patterns of playing, the positioning of certain players in the game, and obviously adapting is very big as well. Obviously, you see opponents press with 2 strikers, press with 1 striker, go 1v1 in the back, and we all be able to adapt on the situation. That's very important. So it's a lot of responsibility on our side, a lot of responsibility on the centre backs in terms of when we have the ball. So yeah, it's something that we all enjoy. We're still learning, I think, but in my opinion, it only can go better. We will analyze today as well. But I think we should not think about what we did in the past because the past has been very successful. We all had an amazing time, but I think it's time to just give the new boss his credits and focus and attention and in order to be successful, I think.
Fair point. No questions on the past from me, but I know Michael's got one for you.
Hi, Virgil. It's Michael Owen. Now, I'm just wondering, in your role in this team, of course, being a fellow countryman to the new boss and obviously being the captain as well, have you felt that sort of extension of the manager passing through to the team, or is your role just as normal as it always has been?
No, definitely. I think that speaks for itself. I think the very first conversation I had with him, I told him obviously like whatever he needs, I'm here for him, and I'm the captain, of course, but I totally understand that at times so many things are new for him. So I'm there for him, and but it's something I enjoy, and I think you can see that. I think also on the pitch, with the way we play, he puts a lot of responsibility in my hands in terms of, in the build-up and in protection or whatever. But it's a nice responsibility that I really enjoy, and it can only go better in my opinion. And we have to keep working and not stay satisfied with what we got so far, because obviously it's just 2 games. The season is going to be very long with loads of games again, so we have to be ready and always want to improve.
Virgil, Glenn Hoddle here. Congratulations on your performance today. Just on one thing, tactically, slightly maybe different. Not such a high line for your back four under Slot compared to Jurgen?
Well, I think it's quite a high line still, but obviously when the ball is free, you have to make sure you are in an angle and ready to drop, because obviously we don't want to have easy balls and play them behind and act like they're offside. So that's something we definitely train on. Because we want to take the certainty instead of the uncertainty at times, because obviously nowadays with the technology, you know, it's a bit difficult. But yeah, I still think that we have quite a high line, but obviously we adapt quite quickly in terms of when the ball is free in order to drop. So that's definitely something where we work on.
The next one against Manchester United. I mean, it's a kind of fixture that's come almost, earlier in the season than many expected. But you go into that now in the best possible way, would you say, or not?
I think these games are on their own. I remember a certain game we won here 7-0. I think we were not in the best situation, and so many thought that at the time that it could have go their way, and obviously that evening was an amazing evening for us. But these games, these are special games, and when their fans are obviously behind them, and it could change a lot. And we've seen it last year where we couldn't win one game over there. It was tough, and we have to be ready. And we have a whole week now to prepare, and we will prepare in the perfect way, in my opinion, and adapt on everything that they've tried to do in order to be better than them.
Well, good luck for the United game and for the season. Thanks, Virgil, for joining us pitchside.
Thank you very much, guys. All the best.
Liverpool captain Virgil van Dijk. Interesting, actually, and I just want to go back to that opening statement because I think it's true. Probably the players probably feel that way, that they've had 9 years of a certain manager. It's enough time. The time's gone now to look back. It is time to move forward and what they can do under Arne Slot.
Yeah, I think that goes for the whole club as well. The fans are probably still licking their wounds in many ways.